Ladies and gentlemen, welcome in to your new Jackrabbit Illustrated B-Team spin-off show.
Scared money don't make money.
That's right, folks. Scared money don't make money. The spin-off show from the B-Team with Ben and Brendan making their picks against the spread just like old times, with the addition of Alex Kenkel and his computer model that is featured weekly on JackrabbitIllustrated.com. As usual, the B-Team and all Jackrabbit Illustrated podcasts are live on the Jackrabbit Illustrated Facebook and Twitter pages, along with being live on the FCS Fans Nation YouTube channel. Also, if you don't catch us live, be sure to tune in on Apple Podcasts, Spotify Podcasts, or any major podcast outlet in between. As always, the B-Team is brought to you by our title sponsor, Dakota Dealers of South Dakota. If you need a tractor, utility vehicle, construction equipment, zero-turn motors, parts, service, and more, there's always a Kubota dealer near you with 8 locations across the great state of South Dakota. Stop in today and get yourself into some orange equipment. And we would also like to thank our segment sponsor, Cubby's Sports Bar and Grill in downtown Brookings. If the Jacks are out of town and you need a place to watch them, head on down, get some Chislick cheese curds, beer, and burgers. And now, without further ado, scared money don't make money. Ladies and gentlemen, we are back, and of course our other segment sponsor that is not on the intro yet because I have been a pile and not getting it done is the Blue Tide Car Wash of Brookings, South Dakota, and Sioux Falls and Mitchell. And of course they will all get their reads when the time is right, and the time is right for Ben to be late. He's not here yet, but he will be eventually because, I'd like to tell you all that he feels so badly about how poorly he's done this year in his picks that he's just quitting. But Ben will be back. Everybody needs everyone needs last place. So I'm glad that he is still hanging in there with us. But beyond that, we've all had our chance to jabber on here. And Alex, since you are much more than a mascot for us, what have you been up to, buddy?
Oh, Ben, rough couple weeks here, honestly. My kids have been sick. My wife got walking pneumonia and was coughing so hard she pulled a neck muscle and pinched a nerve.
Oh my God.
Had several big projects at work, but we've been plugging away. High school football has flown by. They start a week earlier than college, and we only have 9 regular season games. So we work our last game tomorrow night in Groton, and then waiting on a phone call Monday to see if and where we're going for the playoffs.
Heyo, almost
There's Benjamin.
free. There he is. Look at who it is. Atta boy. The captain of timeliness himself. Benjamin is with us.
Menards wasn't as quick as I thought it would be.
You think everything is going to be quicker than it actually is. I'm 100% convinced of that.
It's probably true.
Like most people, they think of like, this is probably going to take me an hour. So I'm going to say it's going to take an hour and 15 minutes. Ben is like, I think it's going to take an hour. So it's going to take me 45 minutes.
You know what? You can ask my wife. I'm notoriously bad about that if stuff is not scheduled. So I'm good about stuff like this. Like, all right, 8:30, drop what I'm doing and get on. But if I don't have a set time frame, I'm absolutely horrible about that.
Well,
that's funny. What'd you need from Menards?
Oh, just stuff for my patio project.
When are we having this patio warming party, Ben?
I got to get it done first.
I haven't helped at all, but I'll gladly sit out there and drink a beer.
All right. Michael Batts wants us to get to it here. Let's go ahead and...
No, we need to address... Alex, Are you in a prison cell?
No, Are you
in jail?
This is just the drywall in my basement. It's got like a little weird like pillar here. That's a support pillar that the guy who drywalled my house drywalled behind and then around. If you ever been in my basement, you get it. But I've got a JI flag I need to hang right here. I used to have Claire's JI AI art, and then my wife uses this for like meetings and stuff at work. So that's why it's blank behind here.
Oh, so is this a spot? It doesn't look like where you normally podcast from.
No, it is. The camera angle is just a little bit different because with her having issues with her neck, she's been experimenting with like moving stuff around. So she's like looking more ergonomically, and I didn't want to mess any of that up when I plugged my computer into our downstairs office setup here. I was like, all right, I'm just going to plug my mic in and we're not going to touch anything else. So
Yeah, that's good. All right. I hope she's feeling better. Don't mess with her ergonomics, otherwise you'll probably die. So then we wouldn't have you on here. Would the Kenkel model go on if Alex didn't? That is the real question, if it would survive.
someone would have to manually load the data every week, but the spreadsheet's pretty intuitive, I think. Everyone says that because I'm the one who wrote it, so I look at it every couple times a week, but you guys might open it up and be like, what the heck is going on here? So
Probably. I'm not a spreadsheet guy. I'm a work with my hands guy. I'm not a spreadsheet guy. So, anyways, on to the picks. Ben, would you like to give us the synopsis since you had a good week?
I would love to. Let me go ahead and pull it up here. I went 4-1-1. That is some pretty good picking. You guys did okay. You guys went 3-2-1. Brendan, Alex, and the model all went 3-2-1. But I did gain a pick on you guys, which is good. As far as the individual games, we had Montana State just dismantling Idaho, winning 38-7 and covering easily. I didn't see that coming. I mean, I know that Idaho was being banged up and maybe it was a matter of time, but that was a convincing win for Montana State. I thought Idaho's defense would have put up a bigger fight than that. Did you guys catch that game?
Yes, I did. It was startling how
I think
badly
I
they beat Idaho.
texted our national media group chat, Peek Behind the Curtain. I think I said specifically, sorry, Chris Hammond, the Vandals don't score 7 here. I'm going to bed. And that was right when their quarterback got his collarbone broke, was like the next play. So
yeah, I think it was an accumulation. I mean, obviously, and I'm not saying Montana State isn't that good. They are that good, but I do think
I've had them number one in my poll since like week 3.
Yeah. So I think they're that good. But also I think it was extra lopsided just because we've seen it happen to SDSU before. We've seen it happen to NDSU before, where you have a hyper actively difficult schedule for your first 7 weeks in this case. Eventually the wheels fall off. You run out of depth. You're too banged up and they fall apart. And I wouldn't be surprised if they end up really falling apart towards the end of the season here, where they just can't recover from the injuries we've had. That being said, huge statement win for Montana State. I don't think they get really tested the rest of the way until the playoffs.
Yeah, so it'll be. They've got the inside track for the 1 seed, if not the 2 seed. I think, man, it would really rub some people raw if somehow they don't get the 1 or the 2 seed if they finish out the right way. But outside of that, we had the Toilet Bowl of the Missouri Valley. We had Murray State playing Indiana State, and Indiana State did win 31-27, but the spread was 4, so it was a push. Another surprising one was Missouri State just crushing Illinois State at Illinois State. Illinois State had shown, they had a rough game against NDSU the week before, but they had looked like a decent team, and Missouri State had struggled a bit. And so I don't know what to think of this game.
I wrote about it. If you read by the numbers this morning, it was a little closer than the score just because Illinois State had 4 turnovers, which was kind of uncharacteristic of a Brocksback team. But even if you take those out, Missouri State still wins by like 10. I mean, it was Missouri State kind of rolled them up a little bit. That was very shocking.
Yeah. They slapped them. I think what that says to me is that's how big of a gap there is between the middle upper valley and how down the rest of the valley is. It says a lot about Southern Illinois. It says a lot about Illinois State. Shows that Missouri State is pretty decent, but then again, Missouri State also, people forget, they look at this score and go, oh, Missouri State might be pretty good. But they also forget that they squeaked by Youngstown State by a touchdown, if I remember right. Like, that was a fairly close game. It wasn't a blowout. And we've seen that from this Youngstown State team, if you're a good team, it should be a blowout.
Right. We had NDSU beating Southern Illinois 24-3, convincing win. Not overly impressive, but obviously holding a team to 3 is good. Southern Illinois is just having a not good year at this point. Injuries catching up to them. I thought they would put up a little better fight at home, but any thoughts on this one?
Their defense played okay. Once again, I wrote about that in the article this morning. I thought defensively it was an okay showing to hold the Bison to 24, but what are you going to do when you're down to a third-string true freshman quarterback and your starter, going all the way back to when Williams broke his hand, your starter as a quarterback, accounted for 70% of your rushing yards. Their offensive line is just bad. That's really where their struggles have been ever since Williams went out. Williams covered so many holes, and obviously Simmons being out now doesn't help either, because I thought Simmons was playing okay. SIU they need to just get young guys some playing time and reload for next year.
Yep. And then we had USD taking down UNI 42-17. Again, UNI just is struggling this year, but USD continues to look good. Granted, they just haven't played much this year for good teams. And so, that continues this week. I don't know how, it's hard to tell how good USD is at this point. What do you guys think?
Yeah, I don't think we'll know till next week. We'll spoil predictions a little bit for the Youngstown game, I guess, but I don't think we'll know till then. Brendan, sorry, it looked like you're going to say something. I cut you off.
No, not at all. I was just making a face as I think about them, and I'm actually trying to look up stats. Oh, okay, I found it. But I think they're good. I think the question is how good. Like, when you say, we don't know how good they are, it's not if they're good. I think we know they're good at this point. That's been established that they're a good team.
Yeah,
but
right.
is it national title contender good, or is it quarterfinal good? And I think that is a fairly fair question to ask, I guess. And like you guys said, we won't know until they play us. They've played nobody. We thought we thought Montana State had a weak schedule, but so far they have really had a weak schedule compared to them. That being said, I believe they're a really good team. I do. It'll be interesting to find out next week how good they are. I have no doubt they will win this weekend, despite whatever the statistics say.
I want to just address Michael's comments before we get too far here. I wrote more than 2 sentences this week, Michael. Michael says, we started playing as a team for the first time this year, lost on a come-from-behind drive, and all you give us was 2 sentences. How long are we going to be the Rodney Dangerfield of the league? I gave you more than that. I was very compliment of South Dakota's son, Jaden Johansson. He played a great game. It was not for his lack of efforts. I don't know. There's no offense, Michael. I'm happy you tune in every week. And if you make it up here or we get down there, we got to meet up. There's right now when you guys are sitting at 1-6, there's just more interesting storylines in the Valley. I'm sorry, dude.
Yeah, Michael, we have all the beer you will want to drink if you come up to Brookings for the Murray State game. You will be very happy when you leave at least the tailgate. No promises on the games or anything like that, but man, dude, it's what's it gonna take? You guys, you got to be more competitive realistically. When you're getting slaughtered by some of the lower end teams in the conference and allowing 59-72, 31 to Indiana State. You got to get a little feistier than that. Don't lose to Butler. That's a big one too. But we have the beer and the food, like Chad says, beer and food on us. We will take care of you. I do believe Missouri or Murray State, I think they want to win. I think that drives there, which is really a big deal. Honestly, there's a lot of schools that are just kind of happy to have a football team. So, it'll get there. It's just right now it's going to be hard for us to talk about Murray State a whole bunch because Indiana State's pretty awful too. So, anyways, there you go. You got your time, buddy.
Perfect. Last but not least, we had SDSU getting the 50 Butterburger, 60 Butterburger, 63-13 over Youngstown State. Suck at Kinkle model. The model didn't believe in SDSU, but we did. With that, let's go to do we do an ad read before I go to JIAI here?
Yes, we do. We of course have to mention our show sponsor, which they were, of course, mentioned in the intro, but we have Kubota Dealers as the title sponsor for Jackrabbit Illustrated, and then we have Cubby Sports Bar and Grill of Brookings, South Dakota, in downtown Brookings, the place to go to watch the game. If you're not going to be going, that will be the full-on Jackrabbit party for the marker game. Will be in Cubby's. Go head on down there, get yourself a good burger. They have the black and blue bison burger this week because Cubby's is always on point and knows what's going on like nobody else in the state of South Dakota. That for restaurants, they are on top of what's going on in Jackrabbit Land. So head down to Cubby Sports Bar and Grill and get some drinks there.
Perfect. With that, I have a special edition JIAI for Marker Week. Tried out something new. I don't know if it's good or not. It's not great, but we're going with it. We've got can you guys see this?
Yes, I'm here for not great JIAI. I think that's
Perfect.
Where the real gold comes from.
So I found the better it is.
Found this feature where you could animate the JIAI, and there he is.
Oh,
Look at him do a little
God.
dance there.
Oh my God. He shoved his hand up his nose. Is that a middle finger?
I don't know. Moving on. I don't know how to get off of it. There we go. So this was Alex last week, but I'm getting closer at least. Had to animate that.
Yeah, you're within 2 games now.
I know. I'm coming back. This is the Bobcats taking down the Fighting Jason X. Sorry, Jason X. Did you a little dirty there. I mean, there's a resemblance there. But anyway.
He's got dark hair, big cheeks.
Yeah, that's Jason X.
This is Murray State and Indiana State in the toilet bowl having fun.
After Michael.
Sorry, Michael.
Put up the first. All right, we got to put this comment up because this is what I was giving you credit for. You are putting money in to try to become better, and then Ben does you dirty.
Ben just goes and
Jesus
craps all over it, literally.
What a jerk!
I'm sorry. That's my bad. And then we've got the real reason the Missouri State's playing well. Alex giving him the motivation earlier this year when he put in air quotes, potentially win a conference championship. But hey, I'm glad you could give him some motivation there.
I'm sure Ryan Beard just has that framed in his office.
I would love it if he does.
Incredible. I thought you said this was bad this week. What are you talking about? This
you like
gold.
it? All right. Well, it costs more AI coins, but if it's worth it, I'll go
AI
for it.
coins.
AI coins.
What's the conversion rate of Scoopy
Making
tokens
these in
to
an
AI
arcade?
coins?
I had to buy a bunch of AI coins in there. I still have like 7,000, so I think I'm okay. Anyway, then we had the Bison stomping the sock lookies. That one's actually
Stomping.
not bad.
That's not.
Sure,
I've
he's
seen
stomping.
stomping. That
Okay,
Keep it family
other
friendly.
acts.
Sickos.
This is not a fan. Yeah, it's a dirty sock now. I bet it's all crusty after that.
All right,
Sock
moving
lookies.
on. Moving on. This one, I don't know. This
You
doesn't
do
seem
that laundry
consensual.
yourself.
This is Wile E. Coyote. It was supposed to be Wile E. Coyote beating up the Pink Panther.
Looks
the
like
United
he's.
Panthers. I know it doesn't look consensual at all. We'll just move on. Then we
Looks
had
like a creepy guy at the bar.
yeah, I know. Then we had I mean, it's USD. So what do you expect?
Oh, whoa!
What?
Nothing. Shots fired. I love it.
I didn't see it.
No, what you
Oh,
said.
your comment.
Oh, okay. Well, that's just a known.
It is fact. They do have a problem with that.
They do. Then we had the Jackrabbits kicking the Penguins high into the sky. That's all I got for now. We'll finish up later.
No, it looks like stomping. No, it did not. That looked. Anyways, if we say consensual too many times on this podcast, I think we get shut down. So we're not gonna. Just
Matt, I didn't start this. When Brendan and Ben get laid off, I've got a family to feed.
All right.
There goes my paycheck, I guess.
This week we've got one non-Missouri Valley game to pick, and it's the only ranked matchup, and it's barely a ranked matchup. It's Rhode Island going to New Hampshire. New Hampshire's favored by 6 at home. I'm going to continue picking first because it's been going real well for me. I'll take New Hampshire in this one. I don't think Rhode Island just hasn't played much yet. Beth, you guys are getting paid.
I read that in the voice from that show.
Read it.
No, I can't say it. That's what I read it in my head. You guys are getting paid?
Oh, gotcha. But yeah, anyway, I'll take New Hampshire. I don't think Rhodey's the real deal.
Model agrees, but just barely. Model says New Hampshire wins, but by 5.8, so it's just coming under for the roadie cover. You took.
I took New Hampshire.
Yep. So sorry, Model's gonna disagree. It's gonna say roadie covers, and I will agree. I don't looking at some of the advanced stats and stuff. Success rate stuff like that. These teams really aren't that different. So 6-point spread just seems like a lot, even if it is in New Hampshire. Give me the fighting De Leons, fighting Andersons to cover here.
Sorry, Kevin. This pick show is Valley games and ranked matchups only.
Here, I'll pick it. The Citadel wins. That's what's going to happen because VMI is the Citadel is on the way up, and VMI is just toilet water. So give me the Bulldogs to cover.
Citadel gets the corn dog. I agree.
Yeah, they get the silver corn dog Shako. In this game, the one we're talking about, Rhode Island and UNH. Give me UNH with it being in the dungeon, I believe they called it. Rhode Island is just so good at not winning the games they need to make the playoffs, and I think UNH wins by at least a touchdown because usually when Rhode Island loses those games, they're not like close that they lost. They get blown out. So give me the Wildcats. They've been there before and know what they're doing.
Alex, who did you take? I was distracted.
I took Rhode Island.
Got it.
Model and I are going to dissent.
Goodbye. All right. We've got Illinois State going to Murray State. This line is way smaller than I thought it would be. Illinois State's favored by 14.5 on the road.
Okay, you have it in the spreadsheet as Murray favored by 14.5, and I was...
No, I don't.
Yes, you do.
It's a positive number.
Yeah, it's at Murray State.
Brendan, this is how spreads work.
If it's a positive number, that means
they're underdogs.
Oh, yeah. Oops. Oopsie poopsie.
Anyway, Sorry, Michael. I'm going to take Illinois State to bounce back after a couple rough weeks. I just don't trust Murray State, even at home. And even if it's homecoming, even if it's a sellout, I think Illinois State bounces back and takes care of business and wins by 17 or more.
What was the spread, Ben? Just so I know
14 and a half.
14 and a half. So Model says Redbirds by 14.3. So it says Racers cover, but just barely. I'm going to agree with Ben, though. If you look at Illinois State's schedule this year, they play really good against bad teams and they play really bad against good teams. As we've discussed a little bit tonight, once again, Michael, love that you're here every week. Always love interacting with you. Please come to Brookings so we can meet you. I know that's not easy travel necessarily. But with all that said, Murray's not a good team. Illinois State will play well. They're going to win by 3 scores.
What I really enjoy is that somehow I managed to slough off the turn their Racers mascot into glue onto Ben.
To Ben.
Yeah, what? I haven't done. Jeez. And I feel like I've been right in every Murray State game I've picked.
Yeah.
I mean, you can be mad that I'm picking against you, but cover for once. I don't know.
If Murray State had a better defense, I would be more inclined to pick their way, but I think Illinois State takes this one I think they cover. Yeah, I think they cover. Murray State hasn't given up less than 31 points since they played Butler. So I just think that they're gonna cover. So yeah, give me Illinois State as well.
Perfect. Hey, I saw that comment. Join the club. All right. This is, I don't know what's going on.
For those of you listening on audio, Kevin Marshall says Michael's tired of your shit, Ben. And Ree said join the club, which is fantastic.
Anyway, we have Indiana State going to Missouri State. Missouri State, again, I don't know what to think of them. They only beat Youngstown State by 7, and that was at home. And then they go to Illinois State and win by 34. I'm going to trust Indiana State to hang around in this one. I think that's way too many points for Missouri State.
You didn't say what the spread is.
Did I? Well, it's 27 is
Okay.
what Missouri State's favored by at home. I think it's way too many points. I will take Indiana State to cover.
Model says Bears by 21.6, so it will agree, Ben. Bears are going to cut, or Trees will cover, sorry. And so do I. Missouri State's defense, even though they only gave up 7 points last week, they still gave up almost 400 yards of offense. The 4 turnovers really put the brakes on. Gavin Screws had a great game for Indiana State, was the National Freshman of the Week for FCS Nation Radio. Kevin Marshall in the chat here. So I think Screws will score enough points where I don't think it'll necessarily be close, but I think they'll cover a 4-score spread pretty comfortably.
Yeah, I'm with you guys. Missouri State, besides this one-off Illinois State game with a bunch of turnovers, they have not beaten anybody that badly, and they played Lindenwood and they only beat them by 14. So I don't have a lot of faith in the Trees, but I have Lindenwood amount of faith in the Trees. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to take Indiana State to cover. It is homecoming for Missouri State, and you know what? To be honest with that team, I feel like they're going to be a little distracted by it. So we'll go with that.
Perfect. And we've got USD going to Youngstown State, who again we just beat them by 50 on Hobo Day. USD is favored by 26.5 points on the road. I'll take USD. They're trying to prove a point this year, and they've been covering these big spreads. And I don't think Youngstown State's going to do it unless Bo Brungard goes crazy. I'll take USD to cover.
Model says Yotes by 17.8, so it will take the Penguins to cover.
That's by a lot.
Yeah, by 10 points almost. I don't know. I sent it in the group chat later this evening. Youngstown's pulling out all the stops. They're bringing out the Santa helmets. Their USD's never won in standby, blah, 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 blah. But I don't see it. But yeah, give me USD to cover 26. I feel like it's kind of similar to last week, which once again, if you want to double my pay again, Matt, I called you and I backdooring that spread. I feel like that does leave open the back door pretty wide for a stupid Bo Brungard scramble late, but I will misguidedly put my faith in the Yotes to not let that happen. They're playing really good defense, so that should help that.
So Kevin says, man, it's funny that how many points you beat YSU by is a thing this season. The only time that how many points you beat Youngstown State by is a thing is when you only beat them by 7. That's when
Right.
it's beyond that, it doesn't matter. But if you beat them only by 7, then that is a thing. I'm going to take the Yotes to cover big. I don't think they're going to be. I mean, I think they could look ahead and still beat Youngstown State.
It's a little trappy, but
it's a little trappy. They're going to win either way, but I think they, I think they just absolutely hammer them. Alex is all about the back door right now, talking about it a lot. So that's because the door's behind him. Don't be perverted.
Right.
All right.
You didn't read that whole one before you put it up, did you, Ben?
We're moving on here. We have, let's see, we've got UNI going to UND. UND is favored by a whopping 22 points. Granted, this is UND at home, but man, that spread feels big. I'll take UNI to cover. They've just had a crazy tough schedule. They had those FBS games. They played us. They played USD. I think they do enough to stay within 3 touchdowns here.
Model says F and Hawks by 13.2. So Panthers are going to cover according to the model. And I agree just for all the reasons Ben said. That's way too many points. I forget the UNI's quarterback's name already. But he had a decent game last week. UND has given up some yardage through the air. So I think that's maybe a potential UNI opportunity for them to stay close in this one. I don't think they win by any means. I think UNI is also solidly in a rebuild, but I think they'll at least cover in this one.
Man, that is, if it was 21 and not 22, I'd probably take UND. I don't think that they are going to win by more than 3 scores. They're capable, but I don't think they do. So, yeah. You know what I really hate is we have all picked the same so far.
I was just going to say that other than Rhode Island,
had the same picks. Other than
either the
Rhode
models,
Island we did different.
The model's a little different. It's either going to gain or even lose more.
Yeah, I don't know. Well, I think USD's better, and they were at home, and they didn't beat them by that much either. So I'm gonna go ahead and take. They did beat them by more than 22. I'll take
much more,
UND to cover.
Ooh.
I will take UND to cover.
Spicy meatball.
All right. Last but not least, we have the Dakota marker matchup. Number 1, SDSU going to number 2, NDSU. I guess it depends on which ranking you look at. But regardless, either top 2 or top 3 matchup. The line that the Reddit FCS Sportsbook has is NDSU favored by a 0.5 point. And which...
Hold on.
Go ahead.
We got to do a read. Blue Tide Car Wash of
I thought you were going to do animal facts.
I will do that too. Blue Tide Car Wash of Brookings, Sioux Falls, and soon to be Mitchell. Blue Tide Car Wash is the best place to get your car cleaned up. I've gone there twice this week already because she's a dusty one out there. I don't know if anybody's noticed. And if you've got as much dust settling on your vehicle as I do, it is absolutely worth it to have the unlimited membership and be able to wash your car as many times as you like and not worry about it costing anything, because you can just zip on through, get that nice, shiny, clean waxiness on there so that the all that dust and pollen and everything else just blows right off of there. It may give you allergies, but you can still have a clean ride if you have to park outside. So get the Blue Tide car wash and get the unlimited package. Like Jim Poppin says, Blue Tide is awesome. He went through it last Friday night. Blue Tide's the way to go. The best is if you can get to a tunnel wash. Those are the best, but they also have touchless options and some scrubber drive-through washes as well that are scattered throughout town at all the Get and Go locations. Well, all the car washes that used to be Get and Go car washes are also Blue Tide car washes, and your membership works there as well. So Zach McKinnell asked for a fun or helpful bison fact. The only reason
I do.
All right, go ahead.
South Dakota has more bison than North Dakota does. So
That
we
is a fun
literally
fact.
own them.
We literally own them. And then another fun fact is the only reason that bison exists today is because they had to interbreed them with cattle in order to keep them surviving, because they almost got wiped out because they're such big, dumb, and easy to kill animals. So just something to keep in
True.
mind. You see those big idiots that they're sitting there in front of a pile of dead bison bones. Those look like super tactical hunters to you.
We went to Custer 2 months ago, and all Claire wanted to see was a buffalo, and she got to see a buffalo, but they just sit there. You can do about whatever you want to them if you're dumb enough.
One more other fun fact is a buffalo is not a bison. They are not related at all.
Yeah, yes, try explaining that to my almost 3-year-old.
Well, what you do when they're almost 3 is, if they're not your kid and you're like an aunt or an uncle, you take them through the zoo and tell them every animal is a cheetah. Doesn't matter what it is. That's a cheetah. And then if they say it right, you correct them and tell them it's the other one. And then your brother starts throwing stuff at the back of your head every time you do it for the rest of the trip through the zoo, and it becomes a violent trip to the zoo. Hypothetically, that's a thing. We don't have a zoo sponsor yet. We need Zaboomafoo to sponsor us. I know they're defunct, so Wildcrats, whatever.
Wildcrats.
It'll always be Zaboomafoo in my heart.
Somebody mentioned the volleyball team.
Yes, David Bender did.
Shout out to them.
Sweeping the bison. That's another fun bison fact.
Swept the bison tonight up in Fargo. 3-0, and still undefeated.
So Ree says the comment that they have a vertical jump of 6 feet, and I don't know if anybody's seen the meme about someone who said that was about lions being able to leap 25 feet, and someone mistook that for vertical leap, like they could be able to leap 25 feet straight up.
They can leap buildings in a single bound.
Right. Like we wouldn't have survived as a species because we'd all pissed ourselves and died seeing that happen. Anyways, oh god, so we're so off track here.
We are off track.
Why do we have so many bison facts?
I don't know.
Oh my god. Here's a jackrabbit fact. There's so many jackrabbits in Fargo, North Dakota, that their paper has had to run multiple articles about jackrabbits taking over Fargo in the last 20 years or so. And the place I have seen the most jackrabbits by far is Fargo, North Dakota.
That is quite ironic.
I think it's fun, isn't it?
Fun fact and ironic.
It's very neat.
All right, here we go. We've got NDSU is favored by 0.5 point at home, which, if you know how betting lines work, that means that on a neutral site, SDSU would probably be favored. But since it's about 2.5. But since it's in Fargo, NDSU is favored by 0.5 point. I think that if Cam Miller was fully healthy, I would be more concerned than I am. I think that his mobility is going to be a big issue for NDSU. I think that is a big part of their offense and why they only scored 21 against Southern Illinois. I think that we see Jimmy bring pressure early and often. I think we try to get him off his spot and make him be mobile and see what he can do. And I predict that we'll see Cam throw an interception, his first of the year, I believe. I don't think he's thrown one yet. But I think that our running game continues to have success. And I think that sets up a big day for Mark. And I'll call a Griffin Willie touchdown. I'll call another Chase Mason touchdown. And I will call an SDSU victory 34-17. SDSU covers.
Model says good guys by 1.7. So Model's taking the Jacks. I'm going to steal the floor for a few minutes because you guys got to go on with, to steal his own words, one of my favorite humans, Matt Frazee, for quite a while on Tuesday. So there's been a lot of talk about how the Bison have an advantage because they want
Are you
this.
gonna
And
end
this
up
is-
on a? Are you gonna end up getting clipped
No.
and sent?
No,
to
I'm not
Fargo here?
getting clipped. I
It's
promise
got
I will
it's
not
got
do
a
that.
warm up like that. It sounds like you're winding up.
So they're talking about how we've never got, a lot of the guys on the team, none of the guys on the team have ever got to hold the rock, and how that's going to be a big motivating factor. Well, you know who had a bunch of guys who never got to hold the rock for several years? We did. You want to hear some of those guys' names? R.C. Kilgore, Winston Wright, Jason Schneider, Jake Gentili, Zach freaking Zenner, Austin Sumner, Cam Jones, some huge names in the history of Jackrabbit football. Never got to hold the rock. You know who was the coach, linebackers coach on all those teams? Jimmy
I got
Rogers.
a pretty good guess. Yeah.
You know who the punter on all those teams was? Ron Pavlik. You think Jimmy and Ron aren't telling those guys on our end, motivating the same way? You get to make them feel what we felt those years. I think that's a wash. I think our guys are just as motivated for that same reason. Yeah, they've never got to hold it. They want to hold it. You think our guys aren't motivated to deny them that opportunity? I mean, come on. That's a wash. This game, oh my gosh, the timer's up. This game, you guys all know I'm a big combat sports fan, and you hear the phrase, oh, this is a heavyweight fight. And I hate that term because if you look around boxing or the UFC, heavyweights suck anymore. But I will say this is a prize fight where everyone's so evenly matched. It's going to be more about the counter punches than the punches. It's going to be more, you watch the NCAA wrestling finals. You guys probably don't know. Chad needs to be here. But how are most takedowns scored in the semis and finals at the NCAA tournament? Reattacks.
By the ref?
No, reattacks. It's the counteraction. It's either you shoot, the other guy counters, and you counter back in and you get his leg, or the other guy shoots and you stop his shot and you got a good counter. That's what this game's going to be. If you looked at Tim Rosario's numbers this week for success rate, these teams are so evenly matched in the play-to-play success rate. It's going to be either a big turnover or a broken coverage or a missed tackle, and that's going to create the difference. So to kind of summate all my thoughts here,
Summate's a good word.
It's going to be whichever team is more ready to seize that opportunity. And I think our edge here that we haven't talked about at all is Chris Crocked. Because you got to play loose to have that opportunity. If you're so tense that when the opportunity comes, you can't seize it, that's no good. You got to play loose. You got to see it, and you got to see it in. So here's my official prediction. This game feels like kind of a mix of 2016 and 2022 for some reason to me. Probably because it's in the Fargo Dome, and those are my two favorite games in the Fargo Dome. But I think minute and a half or so left. We're down 4, 4th and goal from the 2, a la Jake Winicky. We get a Griffin Wilde double move, back shoulder touchdown. Cam Miller, this is your chance. You get the ball back. Go drive and end the game. Anyone remember how the 2022 game ended? 4th and 10.
Yes.
Who makes that play? Dallas Beanham.
Yep.
It's crazy to say an All-American is underrated. He's the most underrated player on this football team. Who had the punch out to sway the momentum against the Incarnate Word game?
Mr.
Dallas Beanham. Dallas Beanham ties Charlie Clarkson for the interception record on Cam Miller trying to find Bryce Lance deep down the sideline for the game-tying field goal.
That ain't no guess.
That's what it's gonna be. Ain't no guess. I wasn't sure if we should jump in because you were rolling and I didn't want to.
You hit 3 minutes. You just
I didn't
muted
know if
yourself.
those were rhetorical. Like, I was promised a minute and a half, and then I got more. It was like getting dessert. That was
I was
awesome.
to say you hit 3 minutes, and that I don't think you started until 2 minutes in.
Right. So, for my pick, I have been torn on this all week. I genuinely the most difficult game to pick that I can remember, and since we started doing this show, maybe since Ben and I started doing the picks. But there's so many things, there's so many ways you can break this game down and all that, and there's tons of shows doing it all over the place. And by the way, if you're someone who's complaining or like, oh, I wish there was more talk about this game, then you just haven't been looking. Herder had it on his podcast with Blue Bloods, and Tim Rosario had a really good one. Kevin's going to have a great one, I'm sure, with Stone when that comes out on Friday. It's everywhere. Dom Izzo has Hot Mic with Dom Izzo. He's talking about it. You can find there, if you really want to get fired up, look up Bison 1660 on your podcasts and then listen to some of the stuff they say. That's pretty interesting. Not as wild as sometimes they say. The hacks, I guess they count as people too. But
and then Matt's interview from today.
And Matt's interview today with Dom Izzo. I mean, it's everywhere.
Really good.
Really good interview. That was fantastic. But the thing that I really struggle with is trying to match the emotion of a desperate team in a game that is decided by want, desire, and physicality. It's hard to match that feeling of desperation. Even sitting here, like as a fan, I cannot replicate that feeling I had going into 2016 about, God damn it, I just win this game. Just win. You can't fabricate that. You can't just make that happen. But then on the other hand, I look at it and something that hasn't been talked about at all is we've got Mark Gronowski, and it's not just Mark Gronowski and is he playing well, is he not playing well, blah, 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 blah. It is Mark Gronowski, who hasn't lost an FCS game since he was in North Dakota in his freshman year in 2020, all those years ago. He's not lost an FCS game that he's played the entire time that he's started and finished. Never lost it. If it comes down to it, Cam Miller, arguably, yes, he's been playing better. Then his stats are better. He doesn't have the turnovers. But if it comes down to one game to save the planet, and I've got to choose between Cam Miller and Mark Gronowski, I'm choosing Mark Gronowski. He's got that about him. But then I'm torn back again. They're desperate. They do have some advantages. I thought special teams would be a huge advantage for us till I looked up their stats, and they are terrific on special teams as well. Once again, because our special teams have been outstanding. They actually have better kick return yards than we do. They've got better kick coverage yards than we do. So we might actually see Angel get the ball kicked to him this week, which would be exciting. I would love that. If they're as confident as their numbers look like they are, or they might just kick it out of the end zone. It is a dome. So that's something that I thought would be in our favor. That might be more of a wash. So I'm kind of tore up about this game, but there's a lot of word salad to say. I said we would lose this game before the season, but I think with Miller being slightly less mobile, I'm going to go ahead and take us to cover by 3. And the only reason I feel bad about that is it's leaving Matt on an island because he had the guts to stick with his first pick.
You and I have both reversed course since then, kind of looking at 2 zone devices there.
But this is going to be a brutal one. I don't feel like confident in that pick, really. I'm torn. This game, this is a marker matchup. The last 2 3 games against them. They haven't felt like marker games. This is a marker game. You got the butterflies, you got the swirlies. You don't, know what's going on.
Oh, it's massive. I mean, there's been big ones in the past, but we were always chasing in the past, and these last games that we've won, I think that they were in years where NDSU didn't look like the NDSU of old necessarily, and we got Mark and Cam facing off for a last time. Yeah, I mean, it's just, it couldn't be any bigger, honestly. And you put the playoff implications in there. Like I said on the B team show, I think the early game momentum is going to be huge. I think that if SDSU takes some momentum right away, gets up, 10-0 or something like that, I think the dome is going to deflate. The crowd is going to get quiet. The NDSU players are going to start to feel like, oh man, this is happening again. I'm just saying.
Pick one time in the dome that's happened. One time. Pick one game that we've just skated away.
When's the last time we had won this many in a row? I'm just saying that I think that it could get to them mentally if it starts to tilt on them a little bit. So anyway, with that, let's we gotta finish up the old JIAI here. It's a couple NDSU fans that showed up in yellow, wondering why they wore the colors of the visiting team that's coming to play them.
Why does the one guy have 4 fingers?
Well, he's lives in Fargo, I guess.
Are there aliens in Fargo that we're not? Is this what you're saying? You believe aliens?
They have a
in
knockoff
Fargo?
Chuck E. Cheese's called Space Aliens.
God, his fingers are so long.
They are weird.
That's off-putting.
It was hilarious though that essentially us shaming their official NDSU football account into saying, well, maybe don't wear yellow, maybe wear anything else. Just not blue. Yeah. Anyway. I do, like I said, predict the Jackrabbits winning, making the Bison cry. I should have got the old Bison crying picture in there. I love that one. And the Jackrabbits taking the marker back home again. That's all I got. I'm really excited for this one. I'll be going up to Fargo. I am really looking forward to it, checking out the tailgating scene. We didn't get to do too much of it last time because we did the whole B-dubs and live show thing. So this will be my first time experiencing like the full NDSU tailgate. So looking forward to it.
Well, I'll see you up there.
Oh, really?
See both of you up there.
Really? All right. Well, I know some places we can go.
I asked many times if anybody was going, and everybody said no every time.
Okay, I was not intending. So here's the deal. Everybody knows I lived in Fargo for a while, so I have friends up there. Some very good friends of ours. He reached out and said, "Hey, I got 2 tickets. Do you want one?" And that combined with Mike, college football campus tour is going to be there. Want to see him? Getting to see Taco King up there, see Tatanka up there, a bunch of friends of mine, a couple of tailgates I know to go to. So we will be up there showing off Xena to our Fargo friends, and Ariel's gonna go hang out at a friend's house, and I will go to the game. So
I'll do one better. It's our 5th anniversary on Saturday, and we're bringing both kids into the game. We'll see how long they last, being 7:00 kick. But
where are your seats? How far up are they? Or are they in the Jackrabbit section?
They're so funny story about that. I looked at an old seating map because 2 of my buddies are coming with us too. And I looked at an old seating map when I bought our tickets. And my buddy Sean texts our group chat back and goes, "Dude, WTF?" I was like, "What?" He's like, "Are you trying to get us killed?" I said, "What are you talking about? We're in the SDSU section." He's like, "No, we're right next to the student section, dude." So I actually had to call a ticket office, and luckily there were some available in the SDSU section still.
Oh,
and they got us flipped over there. But
I was gonna, buddy. Oh, there's with the kids, I would have told you not to. That honestly, depending on where you sit, it's either very friendly or not. And with kids,
We're in the
it's
Jack
tricky.
section now, so we should be good.
All right, you'll be fine. Yeah, it'll be good. Yeah, Ariel. Yeah, that is what it is. But Beth volunteered you to watch the kids during the game.
I hope they're on a leash or something.
I
Claire
feel like
likes
Ben
to
won't be in shape to watch children at that point.
Claire likes to sit and watch football, actually. Charlie, he's only 8 months old. He'll hopefully be asleep, but
Is Claire used to the earmuffs?
yeah, when we go to the races and stuff, she wears them. It's kind of a
Okay.
crapshoot if she wears them or not, but we'll try to enforce that.
Yeah,
Interested
it'll
to
be.
see, do you think it's going to be standing the whole time?
I think so.
Well, at least
If you're in the
early on, I
Jack
think
section,
it
maybe
is.
not. But if you're not in the Jack section, I'm betting unless this turns into a blowout, then unless it turns into a blowout, it's probably going to be standing the whole game. I'm betting it's going to be one of those games. I've been there for a couple of those games where it's been like that. 2019, that was or was it 26? It was 2016. I was there.
It was the Winnicky game.
The Winnicky one, yeah, right down in front of us. That was a standing the whole time game. And,
when we were there last 2 years ago, the first half was sitting quite a bit. The second half, I don't think we sat down.
yeah, right.
That was so much fun. I did not think we had a chance to win that game, but I'm hoping for a faster start this game. I don't need that.
Yeah, the 18-point comeback or whatever it was, I could do without that too.
Yeah.
I just there's even games where we've won handily, we haven't like pulled away by that much. Or
Well, yeah,
if we have pulled away, they come back.
I think in 2021 we took our foot off the gas and they almost came back. I was not very happy with the coaching staff in the fourth quarter of that one.
Right.
Yes. I will buy candied almonds. They are cocaine. I'm going to eat the candied almonds.
I can smell the halls of the Fargo Dome because they smell like candied almonds. It's weird. Are they everywhere?
Yeah. No, it's just I think they've figured out the airflow to make it smell the whole thing. There's a fair amount. There's definitely more than one deal there. We're getting told good show. It's probably
yes, it's garage time. Someone was on their show talking about the candied almonds. I think maybe it was Zach and Sam.
Dude, they're
right.
cocaine. They're so good.
There's the tweet, or there's the message I'm looking for.
Hey,
what?
Blue, you making up for that? You
very
got
nice.
a place to crash and everything.
Say,
man. We got
you know where to find us.
That. We'll give you a ride up from the airport, the whole 9 yards.
Perfect. All right. With that, as Jim says, as we always say, go big, go blue, go Jacks.
Go Jacks.
Go Jacks.